I think there's a lesson in everyone's lives, and sometimes we don't learn from others what we should, and then God lets it happen to us. And so hopefully things that I've been through will help you and prevent you from having to live the same things, or maybe if you're going through that, just to let you know you're not alone. I didn't know where God was leading me, where He was guiding me, but that's something that I did say quite often is, God, I don't know what I want. Guide me, direct me, lead me in the path that you would like for me to go in, and then please make me get on it. If I get off the road, push me back in that direction. Guide me. And believe me, I've gotten off the road a lot of times. I'm sure a lot of you out there have done the same. You say, God, guide me, and then you take over and do your own will instead of His. And sometimes He pushes you back on there. I think God has a sense of humor, because sometimes He pushes you in a way that's a little bit hard, a little bit difficult. I mean, I didn't have to have the crash to get out of the bad relationship I was in, but it really helped. And then there were the good days when my aunt would babysit me, because my parents would pay her $5 to watch my brother and I an hour. I know it wasn't much. She was family. And so $5, but she would pay me $10 not to talk to her per 30 minutes that she babysat. Or maybe you're doing this now with your kids, instilling in them the importance of going to church, and I hope that you are. I'm sure that you are. But my mom took it beyond that. She would put plaques and posters and things on the wall, you know, footprints. You probably have a copy of that. I see someone going, uh-huh. But we had footprints. Our bathroom had so much stuff in hindsight that I look back and I went, what is all this stuff my mom kept adding? But she would have footprints on the wall, and she would have things like Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever, or He will keep thee in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And back then I kept thinking, is she going to buy another plaque? What is she doing? They don't even match. But then, as I've gotten older, I thought, you know what? She was putting those things there for a reason. She was putting them there so we would read them. When I turned 10 years old, my parents divorced. It was devastating to me. I was a daddy's girl, and my dad all of a sudden was gone. And I'm not going to say raise your hand if you're divorced, if you're going through a divorce, if you're separated, if you know someone it is, because we all know someone who's been through a divorce, and you know how devastating it can be, not only on yourselves, but on your kids. And I just encourage each and every one of you here to make sure that you don't make it any more difficult than it has to be. Don't talk about that other person in front of your kids. You shouldn't do it at all, but just don't do it in front of the kids, because it really impacts them in a hurtful way. I was riding with my Aunt Portia one day in the car, and my little cousin Candace was in the back seat, and this was when I was in college, and my aunt was going through a divorce, and she kept saying, you know, and I want to tell you about him, and he's a this, and he's a that, and I'll go ahead and say their names because they're not here. And so Portia would say, Stanley's this, and Stanley's that, and I'd say, Portia, you know, don't say that or don't do that, because I'd been through it. I'd been there. I knew what the pain felt like, and my cousin was hearing this, and she was younger, and I said, you know, don't talk about him in front of her. Oh, she knows her dad's this, and she knows her dad's that, and she knows he's a bad man, and he's this and that. And Candace said, Mom, and she's like, wait a minute, Candace, grown folks are talking. And then Candace goes, but Mom, and she's like, Candace, we're talking. And she's like, you know, Stanley really is just a horrible this and horrible that, and we don't need to be together anyway. And she's like, but Mom. And then she goes, what, Candace? What is it? And she said, I just wanted you to know that those are the same names that Daddy calls you. But I'm grateful for what I went through, because it's made me the person I am today. It's made me stronger. And I want you to know that if you're going through a tough time right now, it'll make you stronger. Just don't give up. Know that God is always with you. And I tried out for the Duncanville Hi-Hats. 87 girls on the squad. Me and all my friends went and tried out. We went and looked at the sheet, and our name wasn't there. And we were so disappointed and so sad. And we did it again, and our name wasn't there. But no, African Americans made the squad. There was never anyone that would make the squad that was black. And so our parents asked why, and the instructor said, because we had no rhythm. Yeah. It was funny to them too. Never be that person that tells someone they're not good enough or that takes away their dreams. Encourage them. Show them how they can achieve those things. Encourage your kids to achieve those things. And being in the hospital and seeing what it's like to be in ICU and to see that people can't get out and do things for themselves. They can't get out and go and check on their kids that they may have in another part of the hospital or something that's going on in their lives. I realize that people need you there. They need help. They need people to be able to help them. And I know a lot of you may be in the position where you can do that, not just financially. If you can financially, that's great. But just go back and give your time. Just to be the person that gives a smile to someone would brighten their day. It would light up their lives. Or maybe there's someone in your life that you haven't said I love you to in a long time. Do that tonight. Don't put it off. We all know love is the greatest gift of all, and we all need it. We all need love. Doesn't matter who you are, American. Doesn't matter if you're Asian, you're Puerto Rican, you're Panamanian, you're Jamaican. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. None of that matters. Love is the universal language. We all need love. We all need to feel love. We all need to give love so that people can feel loved. It's the greatest gift of all. Learn yourself and love yourself so you can love others. I'm sure you've all heard it said before, you can't truly love someone until you learn to love yourself. It's true. You have to learn to love yourselves. I pray that you all learn what your purpose is if you don't already know it, and then work to use the gifts and the talents that God has given each and every one of you. We sadly remember recent victims we've lost, but rushing to war comes at a great cost. Remember the Persian Gulf, even Vietnam? Well, there were hundreds, no thousands, that never came home. The ones who make the decisions, they don't go and fight. They'll still be with their families at the end of each night. Now, I'm not saying that our military men shouldn't go. It's just a reminder of things you should know. You see, our armed forces are smaller than in years past, because when it comes to pay raises, they're usually last. We don't idolize a man in uniform unless it represents the sports team he's on. We praise entertainers, celebrities, and stars. The responsibility for changing this, that's totally ours. I mean, what will you do if you or your loved ones are called to fight? Are you willing to die for the red, blue, and white? Knowing there's less equipment and men to help out, it's just one more thing to think about. So the next time you see someone in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or Marines, remember this poem and then think of those things, or just salute them, give them a smile. Simple things they probably haven't seen in a while. And since we did go to war, since the battles began, when everything's over, does anyone win? There's one way we can make sure that we do, and that's by giving love and respect to those willing to give their lives for me and for you. Please keep our soldiers in prayer. Let's call it hope, call it faith, call it whatever you may, but please get down on your knees and pray. The Messiah is watching. The Lord hears our cries. Tell him we need him. Open your eyes. All that we're going through is bigger than our country, our city, our states. The problems we're seeing, they're worldly. We need someone great. A president, a prime minister, a prince, it's not enough. They've tried, but they failed to take care of this stuff. You see, that should not be mistaken because they're merely man, and we need someone greater, one who has the whole world in his hands. The one who said, I will give thee perfect peace, is the same one who said, just trust and believe. One who knows a terrorist before he strikes. One who awakes us each day and protects us each night. Whatever you're doing, you must stop and pray, for tomorrow is not promised, so do it today. And your location doesn't matter. He's never too far if you're at home, at work, driving a car, even if you were in a jail cell, which you better not be, behind locked bars. The Almighty never differentiates by where you are. He wants to hear from you, so just call him and claim, say, Jesus, we need you. Just shout his name. And when you do, take notice how strong we become, because with his aid, Earth's countries can finally unite as one. With Christ, we can do all things, and there's no doubt in my mind it's the Savior we need. So won't you all call him? For it is time that our people take heed.